Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, councillors. I make that 7 o'clock. Welcome to this edition of the Planning Committee. The date is the 5th of November 2024. Just a bit of housekeeping. There's no planned fire drills for this evening, but if the bell does go off, you make your way to the nearest exits and assemble at the front of the building of Castle House. First item of business tonight is apologies. I have two apologies from Amy, substituted by Jill Heasom, and also Councillor Crisp, substituted by Councillor Panther. Do any have any other apologies? No. Okay, next item is declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations of interest? And that's a negative response. I'll take that as said. Minutes of the previous meeting, item 3. Are we content to receive those minutes as true and accurate record of proceedings that evening? Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Chair. The minute of item 3 includes the request that we made informally as members for a letter to Staffordshire County Highways regarding the highway safety around Blackbrook in connection with, but not as part of the resolution on that item. The minute records that we'd requested it. I think from memory, the scope of that letter was slightly wider. We weren't just asking them to review the access, we were asking them to review highway safety in line with the concerns that were raised by the parish council, among others. And we'd also informally again said that if you get an answer to your letter, could we be shared a copy of that? Could the minutes be adjusted to reflect that? Is that all right?
Yes, Councillor Holland, that will be okay. I haven't had a reply yet to my letter, so when that response is received, I'm happy to share that.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Any other amendments to the minutes? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. On item 7, we've got a note that members agreed with officers' recommendations. I actually abstained, and reading the minutes, it does seem as if members accepted the recommendations unanimously. So I'd request that that's recorded, please.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. That will be amended accordingly. Thank you. Any other issues? Is that a raised hands, Councillor Galton? Okay. Well, we'll start the evening's full business. Welcome to those that may be watching online or at home. First item of business is application for major development, Unit 1 and 2, Brickkiln Lane, Chesterton, Newcastle-under-Lyme.
Thank you, Chair. This application seeks full planning permission for the change of use of Units 1 and 2 on Brickkiln Lane to general industrial, which is Class B2 of the use classes order, and storage and distribution, which is Class B8 of the use classes order. So the location plan here shows the two buildings that we're looking at. So you can see it's within an established industrial site. So there's one building there and another one there. The area here is open space, industrial buildings around here, and then the nearest residential properties are about 150 metres away. So Unit 1 has an extant use as a training centre. It was in use by Aspire. And Unit 2 is used for storage and distribution. The units are being bought by Brocksap Limited, and they're looking to use them mainly for storing finished products, but with some limited elements of product assembly. So the change of use to include both B8 and B2 use would enable flexibility if the company wished to increase manufacturing on the site. So the site is located within an existing industrial development with other B2 and B8 uses. Therefore, the principle of the change of use is considered acceptable. Following the submission of a noise management plan, the Council's environmental health team have confirmed that they have no objections to the proposal, subject to a condition regarding hours of operation. The proposal would provide appropriate access with adequate parking and turning space using the existing arrangements and would not result in issues of highway safety or any on-street parking. The Highway Authority has confirmed that they have no objections subject to the imposition of appropriate conditions. So just showing you a couple of views of the site here. So these are the two buildings that are referred to. There'll be no physical external alterations proposed. So the only thing that we're looking at is simply the change in the use of the buildings. So that's the one that was on the left of the previous screen. And this is a wider view just to show you within the context of the wider site. These are the two buildings here in blue. And you can see that they're within an established commercial site. So that's it. Thank you.
Over to members. Councillor Fear and Councillor Gore.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. This seems perfectly reasonable to me. The only thing that struck me when I looked at this was perhaps questions of noise, but if we've got an approved noise management plan in place, I can't see there's a problem. No development of the buildings is envisaged, so I can't see that larger vehicles are going to be used or anything like that. It is an industrial area, so I'm with that assurance about the noise management plan. I'm happy to move that we move this as the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Councillor Gordon.
A minor question, if I may, Chairman. One of the conditions refers to operational hours, and I think there was also a comment from the Borough's Environmental Health Department about that. Could the officer give us some indication of the likely operational hours that are going to be stipulated by the Borough, should the application be approved?
Yes, given its location within an established industrial site, the proposed hours are considered acceptable, and they are, just bear with me, I did find them earlier today. I think it was something like 6 a.m. till 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the working week, and Saturday morning 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. So, as I say, within an established industrial site like this, which and one of the buildings already has an extant planning permission for B8, the storage and distribution. So that level of activity during those hours could be anticipated anyway. So it's not considered that there's any objection to those hours.
Any other members wishing to speak on this item? Okay, in that case, we've had it formally proposed by Councillor Fear. I'm happy as the chair to second that proposal. Do I see an agreement that we accept the proposal as written? Can I see a show of hands, please? And that item is unanimously passed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us on to item 5 of the agenda, Open Market, High Street, Newcastle-under-Lyme. You, Rachel, again.
Thank you, Chair. So this application seeks full planning permission for a new digital sign stroke screen for display of advertisements and screening of live broadcasting events. It's on High Street within the town centre, and therefore it lies within the town centre conservation area. Members may recall that several months ago a scheme came before you for the works that you can see here on the screen, which have taken place within the High Street. So it was for landscaped area here and a change to the layout of the market stalls. These are going to be temporary stalls. There was new hard surfacing and some parking spaces in this location. So this, sorry, I should that. Didn't mean to go on. So this is part of that wider development, really. So the location of the screen is shown here on the plan. So at the to the south of the works. So you'd have the landscaped area there, and the screen would be sited there. The sign itself would measure 5 metres by 2.9 metres. So here are the detailed elevations of the sign. So you can see there that it can be rotated from portrait to, so you've got portrait there to landscape, and would be mounted on a post here that would be 4.3 metres in height when set in landscape position. And the post would be approximately 3 metres when it's set in portrait position. So the maximum height of the sign from the ground level would be 8.8 metres. It's proposed that the supporting column and the screen, well, the back and the edges of the screen would be black in colour. So, and it's proposed that the screen would be turned off between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. So that's an illustration of what the screen would look like in situ. Obviously, the public realm works that I referred to earlier aren't shown on this image. So that's showing it there in the portrait position, and that's in the landscape position. So given that the site is within the conservation area, the principal issue that is for consideration is the impact on the character and appearance of the conservation area. So in situations where the harm to the conservation area is considered to be less than substantial, which is the view taken here, the NPPF states that the harm should be weighed against the public benefits of the proposal. So the public benefits of the scheme are considered to comprise public safety and information benefits, raising awareness and encouraging positive behaviour, and also, and importantly, an economic benefit to the town centre by increasing footfall. Therefore, it's considered that such benefits would outweigh the limited harm to the character and appearance of the conservation area. I've already shown you those two views. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rachel. We have no speakers on this item this evening. I'd just like to ask one question. The main stand, the column, is that going to be treated with anti-climbing paint or the surface? I've just got visions of people sort of climbing up there and hanging off it. Okay, thank you. Over to members. Councillor Panther.
Yeah, my one concern is it's a little overbearing in its size. I was wondering, could it not possibly be like those other ones we've got in town that do bus timetables and the like? It is a little overbearing, although I see the usefulness of it.
Yeah, I do acknowledge that it says significant in scale. The other things that you're referring to, that have the bus timetable on, they have a very different purpose. This would be there to encourage, there'd be live events would be shown. It's to encourage people to come and to sit or to stand and to watch those live events. So it needs to be much bigger to enable that to happen. And the bus timetable ones wouldn't be appropriate for what's proposed here.
I think, did you just clarify? Did you say live events are actually going to be shown on it? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Pant. Councillor Williams, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I shan't be voting for this an application. I think it detracts from the conservation area and its size and massing. A good example of one of these signs, if on the north side of the A34 by Park, say Lymedale, and there's a screen there, and the colours are absolutely appalling. That's on a main trunk road. Something the same within the town centre. I think, again, it's a conservation area. I've always agreed that we should have shows and in the town and an area where people can come and gather to watch whatever football matches or whatever concerts, but not a permanent structure like this one. I can only just say, if people want to go up and have a look at the one up there on the 834, I think there's one or two others not dotted around, but I just can't think of them at the moment. But I think they tax from the conservation area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Just to clarify with officers, is there any technical details in terms of the comparison with the other signage? Is this a high definition, better colour rendition, etc., than the existing ones that Councillor Williams is referring to?
No, I wouldn't be able to provide information that does a comparison between this and the signs that Councillor Williams is referring to, but you will see one of the conditions that we're recommending is details of the level of illumination, so that we can control that. I do hear what Councillor Williams is saying, that clearly it is a substantial structure within the conservation area, and there will be some, albeit in your officer's views, limited harm to the character and appearance of the conservation area. And that is acknowledged within the report. Our conservation officer does have, or did have, some concerns, and I think her words were that she remains to be convinced on how it will relate to the public realm works that I referred to, but does acknowledge that it will result in less than substantial harm. And as I said, in terms of the NPPF, what that says is, if it is deemed to be less than substantial harm, then that harm has to be weighed against the public benefits. And your officer's view, as set out in the report, is that those public benefits outweigh that limited harm.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Williams? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Councillor Mark Holland.
Thank you, Chair. I have a flippant comment to make to start off with, which is that whoever has created the visualization in front of us can't spell Newcastle or Lyme. It does appear to be bid branded, but I expect it's not anybody local that's done that. So while the visualization is useful in helping us to see what it might look like, I hope that whatever content the applicant chooses to put on the screen will be of a higher standard. I did read in detail the police's comments. The one concern that I had that isn't reflected there, because they may have considered and rejected it, is would this item itself be so large that it obscures part of the town centre on the other side of that screen, such that it would be possible for wrongdoers to do things and for it not to be captured on camera. But given that the police haven't raised that as a concern, I don't see that as a reason to vote against it. I am minded to vote in favour of it. I think anything that enhances the town centre as opposed to the conservation area, anything that is good for our town centre is good for our residents. I hear what Councillor Williams says about other illuminated advertising boards, particularly ones of this nature that are effectively enormous screens. My major concern relating to those is around vehicles and distraction to drivers, and that won't be a problem in this case because it is very much a pedestrianised area of the town centre. I think the questions that have rightly been raised about the level of illumination are controllable, because if you own and control one of these things, you can dial it down. You can't make it brighter than it's designed to be, but you can certainly make it less bright. And if it turns out that, for example, we're now in the winter evenings, if it turns out that this thing casts an enormous lurid glow across the Guildhall and the conservation area more generally, we might think twice about having the thing switched on at full illumination until 10 p.m. But I can't see any reason not to vote in favour of the application from a planning point of view, bearing in mind what our officers have said about balancing the potential ugliness of this to its utility. I think it will be an asset to the town centre. It's something that residents have wanted, people who use the town centre, to have that opportunity to have a permanent screen for live events and similar. So I will be voting in favour of the application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Chairman. Even with the spelling mistakes, the illustration does look very overbearing to me. I mean, that really does bring home, I think, the size. The question I wanted to raise really is that one of the main justifications for the proposal is public information and public awareness. And I just wanted to check. In the paper, I think there was a 60-40 split. So 60% public information, 40% adverts. So my one question, Chairman, is that actually fixed? Or could we actually see a situation where more advertisements are shown? I'm assuming there is an income stream to the authority from this. So you can see there may well be some incentives to put more adverts on and less public information. But general comment really, Chairman, is that I'd like to have seen this proposal really as part of something bigger in terms of the town centre and the public realm. And I think the Conservation Officer makes an important point really about the impact this could have on other projects, on other improvements, which the borough is proposing. So at the moment, Chair, I'm a little bit sceptical, but open to argument.
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Do you have any come back on that? Councillor Holland and then Councillor Fear.
Happy to offer Councillor Gorton an argument. I suppose what I would say is, looking at the visualisation, it is taken from a certain perspective. If you were to step backwards towards the Guildhall, it would look smaller. And if you're sitting in front of it, it will look larger. And look at what's behind it, the monstrosity at number 1 London Road. If you could create a screen that blocked that out entirely from any angle, I would be delighted. We should paint the thing in invisible paint if we could.
Thank you, Councillor Holland, for your alternative comment. Thank you. Councillor Fear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I sympathise with what Councillor Holland has just said. In fact, he's rather stolen my thunder in a way, in the fact that when we look at this, I think most of us here would say that the conservation area is about preserving the town centre, the view up to the Guildhall and such like, and that side, I'm sure the office will confirm this, although I'm happy to be corrected. This sign does not rotate. Am I right in saying that is the case?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So, in fact, if you were to stand at the base of the street and look up towards the Guildhall, this would detract far less than the illumination that we've got on this side. And were it, in fact, to be orientated in the portrait rather than the landscape fashion, that will be also even more the case at that point. Now, as we look at it in this direction, I think it's fair to say, as my colleague has pointed out, we are not looking at the finest piece of architecture in Newcastle-under-Lyme. So I think that the MPPF is right here, that there is in fact minimal harm that is produced by this thing, because this is not destroying the vista up to the Guildhall, the historic heart of Newcastle. It's actually pointing outwards towards really a rather ugly modern building. And in that regard, I think that we can be happy with this sign in that sense. I would like, I think, for it to be, when it's switched off, put into the portrait position rather than the landscape position. I think that will be helpful. Moreover, of course, moving it around from time to time will stop birds roosting on it, and I can see that that is, you know, for the average pigeon, this is a new hotel, isn't it? At the end of the day, but apart from that, like Councillor Holland, I think actually that the harm is minimal, particularly given the orientation of this screen, and therefore I'm minded at the moment to vote in favour of this proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Councillor Williams,
Yeah.
Mrs. first.
Thank you.
Councillor Williams, Mrs. first. Thank you.
So it's just a simple question, actually. Are these actually vandal proof? Because we do get little bits of antisocial behaviour. Well, we get a lot of antisocial behaviour down there with the kids on the market stores, don't we? So are we going to have any problems with vandalism? Or I know nothing is actually 100%, but it's a very large screen for somebody to aim at, isn't it?
I think it's vandal proof as far as it possibly can be. But when I raised that question with the applicant, they referred to the fact that there's CCTV all around this site and that is monitored. So yeah, I think given the height of the post and the fact that will have a certain type of paint, as Councillor Holland, as Councillor Northcote referred to, it would be very difficult for people to climb up it. But as you say,
Sorry, I wasn't thinking of the climb. I was thinking.
oh, throwing things at it, right? Okay. Well, yeah, I don't think that there's anything that would be vandal proof in that respect, but it would just be the deterrent, I suppose, of having the CCTV.
Councillor Williams, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I take the point on number 1 London Road. But what about if you're coming in the town from the south? Surely it'll be detected from the town hall, the guild hall, sorry, and the areas in that conservation area. And it's just both sides. It isn't just looking down this side, it's just all round 280-degree viewing points. And again, I think it's detected from the conservation area and that point. So it's not just looking down at it, there we are, but it's coming back up, looking north from the south of this particular monstrosity. Thank you.
Councillor Williams, any other councillors wishing to speak? In that case, are any councillors willing to propose second that we either accept it or we don't? Councillor Holland.
Happy to move the recommendation as printed. I think we've had a decent debate about it. I'm still minded to support. And of course, it does dovetail with a previous application that we've considered for improvements to public realm in exactly this location. It is supposed to be there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Do I see another vote?
Second that one, Chair. With
Seconded by Councillor Panther. Do we see a counter proposal? In that case, I'll take the substantive proposal. All those in favour of the proposal, please raise their hands now. 7, 8. Four. In that case, that motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to agenda item number 6. This is the application for financial assistance, historic buildings grants from the Conservation and Heritage Fund. I'm informed there's no presentation on this and there's no speakers either on this. So over to you, councillors.
Prominent building across the road there, we see.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. I'm happy to second that from the chair. Can I see a show of hands in support of this application, please? And I think that's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. That brings us on to item 7 of the agenda, land at Doddespool, Betley. Pages 23 to 24 of your agenda pack. I take it councillors have had a chance to read this. Are we content to receive the report as written? If so, can I see a show of hands in support of that, please? Thank you, councillor Williams. I probably agree, actually. And that's unanimous. Thank you. And then we also keep this on the agenda in 2 months' time. Thank you. It's on to the exciting item of urgent business. I have no urgent business this evening, and therefore no disclosure of exempt information. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much, councillors, for your indulgence tonight. And concluding business, I now conclude the business finished and final. This item is closed. Thank you very much. Have a safe journey home. The meeting is closed. Thank you.